Meet the hero Kong Wu. And he caught the worst villain. He says this was to be expected. That he is different from these scum, referring to the other heroes. Kong Wu tells him to shut up and he asks him to kill him, saying that he is the only one who deserves it. Kong Wu says that he doesn't think so and won't be the one to take another's life. He said he would make sure the villain was brought to justice and sentenced to death. But now he regrets it, that it was necessary to kill him right there. A woman breaks the breaking news that Huang Sung-hwan has been sentenced to death after a fierce battle, and that he is a villain terrorizing the entire world. In his case taken out sentence, he was sentenced to death. He is currently wearing a force restraining device and is currently in the Luculus prison, where the most notorious villains are kept, and his cell is located on the 5th underground floor. In honor of the heroes who fought alongside Kong Wu and gave their lives in the battle against Huang Sung-hwan, tonight, a joint funeral for equality will be held. Someone turned off Kong Wu's TV. The guy says it's not worth watching. Seo Kong-ho says TV is necessary when you're sick. The man in uniform is his brother, Seo Kong-ho. Kong Wu remembers Huang Sung-hwan and gets angry. He thinks it was worth killing him with his own hands. The brother says that he made a promise to his comrades. He remembers a friend who says that a hero's job is to save people, not kill them. She explains that no matter how treacherous the villains are, he should not kill them because they are also people and have the right to stand trial. Kong Wu says that if they die because of this, the girl asks him to promise her, whatever happens, he will not kill a person. His brother agrees with her, that only the law can judge, and explains that it is the guards who put it into effect. The man in uniform explains that Huang's son, is to be executed next week and says that he will also be taking part. Brother says that Kong Wu has fulfilled his role as a hero and can do the rest himself. His brother calls him to come out. He says it's time to say goodbye to his comrades. On the table there are letters with inscriptions and flowers, some bouquets in honor of the deceased. It is explained that this is exactly what happened. He and his brother came to the funeral in honor of the victims. Holding a flower in their hand, they sent the heroes on their final journey. Huang Sung-hwan's execution date has arrived. It is said that someone else died in his place. Kong Wu screams why. The one who was supposed to face justice remained alive. It is reported that his brother, who served as a prison guard, died in his place. Kong Wu sits at an altar with burning candles and smoking incense. Someone is calling him. Prison officer Jo Se-eun of the Luculus prison asks to speak with him. They handed him a tablet with a video. Kong Wu asks what it is and the other one starts to explain what it is. Se-eun reveals that this is a video of Huang Sung-hwan's execution today. Men in security uniforms escort Kong Wu, who is in a special restraining device with belts. A prisoner calls one of the guards. He says the man looks exactly like Seo Kong Wu and asks if he's his brother. The man remains silent. He explains that the other brother does not have such abilities and asks why he works as a prison officer and also asks which of them is older. Brother Kong Wu ignored him. Sung-hwan continues to love him and asks how the guard feels after he takes someone's life. Kong Ho is surprised, and Huang San says that he is a prison officer. He says that Kong Ho had to kill people like him and wonders what it's like. Huang Sang is disappointed. Kong Ho asks again why he is disappointed. Huang Sang explains that a single touch causes an explosion, just like soap bubbles. Kong Wu's brother is shocked. The guy says that the execution of even such scum as himself, in whom there is nothing human, causes him incredible guilt, and explains that he feels this even though he is only pressing a button. Kong Ho wakes up from a nightmare. The prisoner tells Kong Ho that he, the same killer as they are. Kong Ho says the death row inmates he executed haunt him even in his dreams. Huan Sang asks why he continues to work here anyway, and Kong Wu explains it to him, that someone owes something, and he is simply doing his duty. The death penalty procedure for prisoner Huang Sung-hwan begins. The policeman asks Huang Sung for the last word. He asks which of them is the eldest, and the girl orders the execution to begin. 3 police officers press buttons simultaneously, and the countdown starts from 3. Kong Ho counts out loud 2 and 1. Kong Wu is shocked as he looks at the tablet. The woman says that at the very moment when he was supposed to be executed, something happened. The action is reported to take place in the Luculus prison. A man is surprised by a power failure, and another man says it's a prisoner. The man says this was to be expected. An unexpected electromagnetic surge occurred. Huan Sung reveals that it seems like Kong Wu is truly the only one who can kill him. The guy shouts that he needs to take cover. Several people fall down at high speed. An explosion occurs below and smoke rises. A police officer shouts that they will send reinforcements and explains that the suicide bomber has unlocked the control device. A man screams that the suicide bomber has unlocked the controls. Huan Sung finds the man who called for reinforcements and kills him. Huang Sung says bang. Everyone looks at the events in fear. Huang Sung says that it seems to him that he is the elder and asks if he is right. Kong Ho screams and swings his baton. No, Huan Sung cuts off Kong Ho's hands. He screams in pain. Huang Seiyi will ask again that he is right. Kong Ho screams that he needs to be held accountable. The guy says he should be tried to the fullest extent of the law and shouts that he's a fucking monster. Kong Wu cries out that he can't afford to die here and explains that he must survive for the sake of those waiting for him. He says he won't give up, despite the pain and fatigue. But still, Huan Sung kills Kong Wu's brother, and he says that the answer will have to be found out from Xiao Kong Wu. Kong Wu looks at the screen in anger. The woman says it all happened in one moment. She says it's because of Amy's sudden attack. The guy says that the monitoring devices installed on all the suicide bombers were turned off. But fortunately they managed to prevent the escape, but countless prison officers are still locked inside. Kong Wu asks who is responsible for this attack. The woman remains silent and then explains that they are still investigating the matter. The woman says that Kong Wu's hero, she's really sorry to ask this on the day of the man's brother's funeral, but a woman asks for an end to the riot at the Luculus prison. Kong Wu says of course. But there is one thing. Kong Wu says there is one condition. Chaos begins inside. Prisoners fight among themselves. And suddenly, the doors are opening. A group of prisoners moves towards an opening door from which a bright light emanates. The prisoners shout that the door is open and suggest leaving here. Kong Wu says a hero's job is to save people, not kill them, but his brother, a prison officer, said they do executions. The prisoners shout that they don't understand who it is. That's why. The guy says it's nice to meet you, scum, and asks to be allowed in there not as a hero, and as a prison officer. The prisoners don't understand who Kong Wu is. They are not surprised that the hero is dressed in a prison officer's uniform. Kong Wu says he's glad he got to meet that bastard. The prisoner screams to kill him as he runs forward with the others. Kong Wu stands and watches the approaching people. Kong Wu clenches his fist, preparing to attack. The guy screams and delivers a powerful blow to the chest, piercing it through and stands there, clenching his fist. Several people fall from a great height, their bodies and limbs scattered in different directions. Many prisoners fell from the first blow. Prisoners, in fear, say they cannot believe what is happening. Kong Wu prepares to strike again. Kong Wu tells the scum to listen to him carefully and explains that from now on, following the government's orders, starts from the first floor. The floors are divided into levels. The lower the level, the stronger the criminals. 5th underground level. Kong Wu says he will clear all 5 floors by himself. Huang Xiaoyi is surprised that Kong Wu has already arrived. Kong Wu says the execution will begin. Everyone is surprised because they haven't executed everyone at the same time before. They shout that this is nonsense, that Kong Wu is a fucking bastard since he wants to kill everyone. Kong Wu is serious. Kong Wu asks that after so many murders, they don't deserve to die. The prisoners say they didn't kill many people. The guy screams that he didn't kill many, although he killed 12 people. Brooks shouts that he can count the number of people he has killed on the fingers of 2 hands. He has killed 7. Cade screams that he only killed 1 person. The man in uniform stands silently, and the crowd shouts that he has no right to decide their fate and demands that he call them a lawyer. The man says that they are people too, and other men swear. A man with green hair is surprised by the noise around him. It is explained that Choi Gu-won killed 8 people and committed rape. He says he can escape from here, while the others do. Then they show his foot slamming hard into the ground, causing a flash of blue energy. The crowd pounces on Kong-woo, and at this moment, Gu-won tries to escape while they distract Kong-woo. Kong-woo lands a powerful punch on another man's head, causing blood to spurt out. The prisoners look on in fear. Kong-woo says that they have. There are 2 options, and he explains that either they calmly put the control device back on and return to their cell, where they continue to await their execution. He says they could die by his hand right now. The men look at him in fear. One of the prisoners says that this bastard is grinding there. The guy with red hair says, of course, the second option. The guy explains that they are facing death in any case, and it is better to die during the uprising. The man says that in such a situation, negotiations are absolutely pointless and explains that these are not negotiations. The man says that this is the last thing he can offer. Kong-woo says that he can't offer anything else either. A man says they can extend their lives. Another man says they're finished. He'll kill them all. The guy says he thought it was just a security guard and wonders what the character from Equality is doing here. The man says it's better to use a monitoring device, and Ostron confirms this. The man screams, emitting bright energy from his mouth and clutching his hand to his chest. Everyone turned their attention to him. The man asks, explaining that even if the interlocutor is a hero from Equality, they don't need to make a deal with just one person. A man explains that he killed a second-tier hero through teamwork alone. The guy is surprised that this is serious. The prisoners smile with enthusiasm. The man says they have nothing to fear and offers to kill him to regain their freedom. Kong-woo says that he. A woman explains that the Luculus prison is divided according to the level of danger. It is reported that the first floor is where those who have killed a large number of people are kept, and that more than 300 serial killers are kept there. In total, Kong-woo says that there are 100 people there who have put entire cities in danger. On the second underground floor, there are more than 30 people who have put entire cities in danger. On the third underground floor, there are 10 people who have endangered entire nations. It is reported that there are 5 people on the fourth underground floor who have put entire continents in danger. And on the fifth underground floor, there are 3 people, including Hwang Sung-hwan, who have put the entire world in danger. The guy asks if it's too much, and the woman explains that the number of people he'll have to deal with will be much smaller. The woman explains everything to him. The action is reported to take place on the second underground floor. The girl explains that they came to take souls, and the man says that the souls must follow them. The guy says, repent of your sins. The action is reported to take place on the fifth underground floor. A girl sits on a pile of bodies. The boy explains that the apple he ate was poisoned. Hwan Sung says that they are hostile to each other, and he already thought that he was alone here, and looks with a grin. He says that the first floor is unique in this regard. She explains that his prisoners have united around one man. She reveals that his name is Jilasona and explains that he has a unique skill that grants power to his comrades through the sounds he makes. Kong-woo says he attacked the hospital with 30 accomplices and killed 7, which, together with the second-rank hero Haisa, makes 8 people. The man explains that there were only 10. The man says there were 10 people and that Shibolda was pregnant with twins. Kong-woo is already in contact with the head. He says he'll have to use force and asks how strong this prison is. He guarantees that no matter what happens, the prison won't collapse. Kong-woo presses the button and turns off the microphone. A man explains that he cannot die because his body does not obey the laws of nature, and explains that his heart does not beat and his blood does not flow. The man explains that even while in equality, Kong-woo did nothing and explains that he only managed to catch Hwan Sung-hwan by using his comrades as bait. The man says they will send him to his friends and shouts that he will kill them. A man tells them that they will finally be able to take revenge, and another man explains that their time has come. The man says he is overwhelmed with strength. The man shouts that everything is over. A man shouts that we need to attack. The guy screams, "What the fuck?" The man with red eyes is surprised. Kong Wu prepares to attack and delivers a powerful kick surrounded by red energy flashes, after which his kick comes down with force, causing an explosion of red energy. Kong Wu falls down, surrounded by red cracks and fissures that radiate out from him in all directions. Several people fall around him. The sound of wind accompanies the image of a large structure against the backdrop of a sunset. A man sits on a bench with his head down. A man screams that he can't die. The guy screams, "What the hell?" Kong Wu screams as red energy tentacles spread out around him, knocking several men back. He speaks initial. A man shouts stop as he attacks a group of opponents with a powerful blow accompanied by red energy flashes. Kong Wu concentrates energy in his hands, creating a powerful explosion. The attack mode called Mode is explained. He explains that he will destroy anyone who dares to come close and demonstrates his power by creating multiple sharp red barriers that pierce and hold enemies in the air. A man delivers a powerful kick, knocking several opponents back. A guy screams, "Ah," as he finds himself trapped in red strings along with many other people. The man says it's impossible. Kong Wu watches as many people fall from great heights. A man stands among many bodies covered in blood and wounds. He looks forward, and in the foreground is the face of one of the dead, his eyes wide open and horrified. Kong Wu says it's the first floor. The execution is over, he says this. They ask how many people were killed. The voice is surprised, asking if it is tens and then hundreds. The man says to choose. Kong Wu says that you either put on the device or die. The man screams that the guy screams that he is a son of a bitch. The man says there were about 300 people on the first floor. A man says he can't believe what's happening, and another man screams and flies backwards, surrounded by red lightning. The guy yells that he will do it and put it on. Kong Wu tells him to come and get it. The man replies that he understands. The man asks to give it to him. Kong Wu says he's a scumbag. A man screams, exploding with bright purple energy. The man shouts that he's not following someone like his interlocutor. The man with red eyes is surprised. The boy is surprised. The man tells him that one of the villains that Tome caught said. The man says that those who lack physical abilities are truly pathetic and explains that they deserve equality. Kong Wu says that the other person doesn't know how great it feels to hit someone with your own hands, and explains that he's just shooting heads from a distance. The man says it feels great and explains that it feels like he's breaking balls with his fists. A man presses a button on a panel. A man stands in the hallway. A man enters a brightly lit room, his silhouette casting a shadow on the floor in front of Kong Wu. He says it's so noisy outside. The man says it's him. Kong Wu is surprised that 3 years have passed. The man explains that he hasn't seen Kong Wu's character in a long time. The man says he thought the other guy would leave the job. Kong Wu says he looks good, but offers him a choice between putting on the control device or dying now. The man says that if he had known that their meeting would be like this. The swordsman explains that he won't allow anyone to pass further. The man in the white suit explains that this area is now under their control. Kong Wu remains silent, bound and tied to a large rock with purple ropes. The image shows a pot with a lid, with blood flowing out, and a bloody hand lying nearby. Kong Wu says it looks delicious. The man says he now wants to kill him. A guy screams that he's going to kill you. A man and a woman watch. Kong Wu screams his name. The man says he was caught and tied to a pole, and he explains that now he can't escape. The woman says no. Kong Wu remains silent. The woman explains that Kong Wu's comrades were not very pleased that they were only able to capture him, but not kill him. The man says that if he doesn't answer, he will consider death chosen. The man says he killed them. Kong Wu says he's not interested and delivers a powerful punch, knocking his opponent back. He says that we need to make sure that the man says that they will remember him forever. The man screams. Kong Wu says that's why he killed them. The voice tells them that he became the most memorable person in their lives by dying because of his ability, and they will not be able to forget him. Kong Wu says he can't afford to die here and explains that his body doesn't belong to him. He explains that his body belongs to him and he can't afford to die. The guy screams that he will be forever imprinted in their eyes and activates the choke fielder ability. Kong Wu says that he can show the memory of anyone he killed as proof. The man says he can bring someone back and explains that it is a child. The man screams that he can't let himself die here and grabs the girl's head. Surrounded by purple light and butterflies, the boy screams and holds his shoulder, and Kong Wu explains that it's because he was in solitary confinement. He says that he really wants to shut up his interlocutor. Kong Wu says that with his ability he can't dodge. The voice laughs. The man asks to be allowed to ask something before he dies and asks if he remembers those he killed on the way here. Kong Wu says there's no point in remembering this trash. He is surprised. Glowing butterflies and flowers appear below. Kong Wu explains that his power is a curse and he can't control it. The man explains that the curse spreads to others and is dangerous. Kong Wu explains that the curse manifests itself in the form of purple butterflies that surround them. The man says they need to find a way to stop the curse. The woman says he's not. The man in uniform says he is. The man with the mustache and the other man say he is. The man says he remembers it very well. The boy shouts Kong Wu's name and the girl repeats Kong Wu's name. The girl says to Kong Yu. The man delivers a powerful blow that sends several opponents flying back. Kong Wu says he's done with his cheap tricks. The guy says that he is not afraid of death and that he does not care that he might die. The man says he can't believe Kong Wu cut up his own comrades without hesitation. The man says it's the same. The man asks if it's just an illusion and then suddenly strikes. Kong Wu strikes with a red weapon, causing the black-haired man to fall to the ground. The guy says he's no longer a hero, but a prison guard. The man says he is not a prison guard. The voice says that the interlocutor is just. Kong Wu says monster. He says it's the same monster as Huang, son of Huang. Kong Wu says he can't afford to make a mistake. The guy is surprised, saying, ah. The woman explains that this is a sign of resistance. The woman remains silent. The girl wonders when Kong Wu will come down. The guy says or can. The woman explains that it's a fortress protected by a powerful barrier, making it impossible to penetrate. The man says they must find another way inside, otherwise the mission will fail. The girl says she has a plan that can help bypass the defenses. The man asks Kong Wu when to start, and Kong Wu explains that he is already here, and the man asks again what exactly. He says he can't afford to make a mistake. The man explains that nothing is impossible in this world, and Kong Wu explains that one can change one's destiny with effort. The girl is surprised and says that she now understands the meaning of her actions. He says hubby. The woman screams that he is her husband. The man says Mrs. Sinka. Canis says that her husband is not Huang Sung Huang. Kato says that is correct, mistress, and asks if she didn't attack the soldiers to save him. The man says that this man is a hero and the least useful being for the development of humanity, and Kong Wu explains that he was a hero. The girl is surprised that he doesn't look like him at all now. The woman says polyandry is illegal. The man explains how to choose one. The girl explains which of them is scarier and what to do. Kong Wu says that the one of them who remains alive will be his destiny. The woman says he did a good job and the man explains that he was quick. The man says he cleared the first floor. The woman explains that the criminals will get stronger, so it's time to rest a bit. The man says no. Kong Wu says he'll go right now and orders the doors to be opened. He says that if he can't find a way to not die, he won't be able to help others. The woman says that before he goes, she wants to ask him for a favor. The man says that there is a second underground floor on the floor below. The man says there are still living guards giving the signal. Kong Wu tells them to survive and help them return to their families. He asks how many guards there are on each floor. The woman explains that all communications below the first basement floor are broken, so the number is unknown. The guy screams, then screams again and chokes. The man explains that the communications are still working on the 5th underground floor, so there is definitely a survivor there who is screaming for help. The man screams and asks to be saved. The man shouts for someone to please help. Kong Wu extends his hand forward. The guy is screaming. The sounds of impact and explosion are accompanied by the appearance of a red light on the device screen. The guy screams, then says he's wrong to hope anyone's watching. Kong-woo says he's going down. The man orders the door to the first underground floor to be opened. Kong-woo gives permission. The woman says she already warned him to be careful and explains that there is a difference in the strength of the prisoners between the first floor and the first underground floor. Kong-woo says it's like heaven and earth, then looks forward in surprise. A man delivers a powerful kick to another man, causing an explosion of fire and sparks. A man says the fastest man wins, and another man laughs and calls him a son of a bitch. The men order the enemies to be shot and say they knew they were coming and were prepared. The girl is surprised by Kong-woo's appearance and suggests that he calm down first. The woman says that later she will talk about others. The guy screams, then punches, after which he tells the boss what a big catch. The guy says he's always wanted to squeeze the arrogant face in his hand, and the man asks if he really has a chance. The man shouts that it is the head of the guards and explains that there is a chance to take turns using. The guy screams that everyone is dead. The guy is surprised that his eyes change abruptly. The guy yells that he can't lose. The man explains that he doesn't intend to lose. Shrapnel and flames fly at the sight of the explosion. Then a man in military uniform falls to the ground, surrounded by a blast wave and debris. The girl screams that she can't give up and says she must survive. The guy says not to go down. The guy says that on the second underground floor. Kong-woo says it's dangerous. The woman says okay and makes a sound. The woman screams that the warden is with Kong-woo. The woman says that Tomoki, who was caught by Tome, is on the first underground floor. The woman is silent. Kong-woo is silent. The guy explains that he heard some kind of rumble. The man asks if they heard the sound. The other man says that everything went well. The woman says they are stupid freaks. Kong-woo asks if they think it worked and explains that none of them are capable of making that kind of noise. Tomoki says he disobeyed. It is explained that Tomoki is the killer of the 28 heroes. A woman says that villains are initially made because they're stupid. She explains that she's a former hero. The guy screams if he wants to be killed and the girl laughs and says he did. The man says that everyone only killed ordinary people, and Kong-woo asks if they ever killed people with abilities. The woman asks if she could have even fought, and then tells them that she has fought them before, which is why she is here. A man with a muscular body says he can easily kill a person with an ability. Kong-woo looks at him. He delivers a powerful blow, piercing the opponent's chest. The man says he'll kill. Kong-woo explains that it's a matter of who's going to kill whom and calls the man a stupid bastard. The man says that during the time when she was a hero, she caught many villains. Kong-woo reveals that she then learned how to catch people with abilities and killed many heroes. The woman invites you to join her and promises to teach you. A man explains how to hunt people with abilities. Kong-woo says he knows which one. The woman speaks ability. The woman asks if they knew about Seo Kong-woo's abilities. The man asks how she knows. The woman explains that she, too, was a hero. The woman says that this is why she knows a lot of useful information about the heroes. The guy asks what difference it makes knowing about their abilities, and the girl smiles. The man explains that the people from Equality, a group made up of Tier 1 heroes, are very different from Tier 3 heroes like the girl. The girl laughs. A woman says that when the Lao hero became the head of Equality, changes came to the hero industry. The woman says that first of all, she changed the very definition of a hero and forbade heroes from killing villains. Kong-woo talks about the need to conduct joint training. The man says the ranking system for heroes from rank 1 to 5 has been abolished. The woman reveals that Seo Kong-woo joined Equality just as the ranking system was abolished. Kong-woo explains that he became their member for a moment without any special merits or results, and says that there are rumors that his promotion is connected with the fact that he is Laos's secret lover. The guy says that it is quite possible, although he has never seen Soan in battle, and the girl explains that nevertheless. The guy explains that given that he cleared the entire first floor, he must be at least a second-rank hero, and the girl says that they are gathering on the first floor. Hong Hai-ch explains that he has hopes for them. Choi Mok-gang and Hong Hai-ch are named as the murderers of 1738, and 1,983 people, respectively. Speech speaks or not. Speech killed 6,435 people. The man explains that he didn't say that Kang-woo is weak, on the contrary he is strong. But the woman says she knows his weakness, so she decided it was time to start hunting. A guy asks a girl if she knows his weakness. The woman says the boys look at her and ask if they have better options, then urge them to decide quickly. The man notices an enemy approaching. The guy with short hair says he's joining in, and the man with his hand raised explains that he's joining in too. The guy asks, "And you?" The guy says he's in on it too. The man explains that many centuries ago, humanity developed supernatural abilities, and during research, scientists divided the abilities into 3 categories. Describes those who can transform or enhance their bodies. Physical abilities are mentioned. Kang-woo explains that he has creative abilities. The man with the mask remains silent. The girl with the sword on her back stands confidently. The image is silent and shows 2 characters with their backs to each other. Their special abilities are written underneath. A man with dark hair and a scar on his face stands silently with other men in prison uniforms. The guy says he came. The man explains that the goal is here. The woman says she can see, and Kang-woo asks if she can see. At the bottom, it's explained that it's a physical ability, brainwave communication. He explains that Seo Kang-woo's ability is physical and similar to his own. Tomoki thought she had found his weakness. Kang-woo explains that the HR-12 training robot is entering combat training mode. The man is surprised and tells him to look at it. The man activates combat mode. A guy in uniform says they have to choose between wearing a monitoring device or dying right now. The men listen to him. Kang-woo reveals that this place contains an ancient artifact that could change the course of history. A man in uniform stands calmly as a powerful attack rains down on him. The guy is surprised that he doesn't avoid the blows at all. The man screams, using energy in his palm. The text explains that Tomoki used the sturdy prison door as cover. The man explains that she used creative and special abilities to attack. The guy says they did as the girl said. Tomoki vaguely understood. Kang-woo says that there was something that he didn't need. A powerful explosion occurs, with a man standing at the center. The text explains that this is why Tomoki. The man says that she was at a long-range attack distance from him. Kang-woo is surprised. Then the man screams and ties ribbons around himself. He clenches his hand into a fist and stands surrounded by clouds of smoke. The guy is screaming. It is explained that this is an ability control device. Kang-woo reveals that they searched the prison guard's body and retrieved the device. The guy asks if it will be effective for monitoring the first basement floor, and he explains that everything is fine. Kang-woo explains that if they attach several devices, they can contain 10 rank 2 heroes on the first basement floor, and if they attach 15 of them to a rank 1 hero, it will be enough to seal their abilities. Million says he can attach them during a long-range attack, and he agrees. The text explains that Million has killed 2,421 people, and his special ability attaches a scope to an object. The girl says that this is just in case and for your own safety. Kang-woo says to attach 30 devices to it. A man says everyone's attached, and another man says he's a dead son of a bitch. The text explains that it's just. A man says he can't afford to die because he has a family he needs to protect. Kang-woo says the first mistake is. A man delivers a powerful kick to another man, who flies back, breaking the ground around him. The man delivers a powerful punch, knocking back 2 opponents. The text explains that the power of this punch far exceeds that of a first-rank hero. A man screams. Kang-woo explains that all the control devices have been ripped off. The girl wonders what is happening to her. The scream is heard in a room with a high ceiling and metal structures. The guy screams that this is complete nonsense and says that we need the following plan. The guy says to move on to the next plan. The girl yells at everyone to move on to plan B. Kang-woo says don't move. The man warns that if you move, he will die, and the policeman is breathing heavily. The guy shouts, "Nick." Kang-woo extends his hand, causing many people to be pierced by red energy spikes. The man in uniform is yelling. The man in uniform is explaining that the second mistake is this. The man in uniform is pointing forward. The man explains that it is indeed physical strength, but he didn't realize he had it. The man says that this ability belongs to a special category. The guy says the control devices didn't work on him and asks what to do now. The man listens. The guy shouts to be heard. Kong Wu yells, "Turn on the controller." He says that even at the cost of life. For those who haven't followed the strategy, it shows a man delivering a powerful punch surrounded by red energy flashes. Kong Wu yells that he's always working and can't afford to rest. He says he can't afford to be weak because it's dangerous. He says that there is no point in inventing anything new anymore and that it is too late. There's a powerful explosion with bright blue flashes and lightning, accompanied by a loud sound. The man, with tension and sweat on his face, remains silent. The guy screams that this is fucked up. The guy screams that they were simply destroyed and asks the girl if she has another plan. The girl explains that this can't be. The guy yells that he shouldn't have trusted the girl and demands that she say something. Kong Wu explains that the monitoring devices didn't work and asks if all 30 are still there. The guy says he'll take control so they have another chance, and the other guy tells him to shut up. Kong Wu yells, "Shut the fuck up," and stabs the man in the back. The guy shouts who he thinks he is and explains that if they are in cahoots, then they are not on the same level. Kong Wu says that this was more than enough to seal the abilities of a rank 1 hero. The guy says he broke everything, and if he's so strong, then why didn't he ever show it? The woman screams that she is not going to die and explains that she is now a monster. A woman notices a rustling sound. The guy in uniform says he can't believe this is happening, and Kong Wu is surprised that he didn't expect this turn of events. The guy screams that he is begging for help and asking to save him. The guy is screaming for help. The image shows a blue metallic or stone object with bright blue veins clenched into a fist, from which a purple glow emanates. The man says he is Tomoki's hero. Kong Wu says that he is Tomoki's suicide bomber and asks if she will say her last words. The woman laughs and tells you to go fuck yourself. The woman asks if this is his last word. A character with tattoos on his face says that it is true that all the characters in Equality, except for the interlocutor, are dead. Kong Wu says yes, and the man explains that everything is clear. The guy asks if Tome is dead too. Kong Wu says he can't afford to make a mistake. The boy says he can't afford to lose consciousness or he'll be killed. The girl explains he has to hold on until the end. The woman says she told her younger sister that heroism won't lead to anything good, and explains that this stupid younger sister. Kong Wu asks if the man is also a member of Equality and if he kills people, and also asks if the other heroes know. The woman says he knows how hard Lausa tried to change the hero industry, but because of him, they're back to where they started. Kong Wu says that it might upset her. The hero industry cannot be considered normal. Tomoki thought exactly like that after she became a hero. Heroes can't be considered just because they kill villains. A man screams for help. The man shouts, "Don't move," and the girl asks him. The man screams differently. The girl cries. A man delivers a powerful punch to another man's chest. The girl screams. The text explains that even if a civilian dies during a mission, the hero's status remains absolute. The guy says the mission is complete. Tomoki decided to become a hero for one simple reason. She says her older sister always helps her out. He says she's so cool. The girl says she looks like a real hero and explains that she is Tome's sister. It is said that Tome, who did not have any superpowers, always relied on her sister. The girl is surprised that Tomoki is too, and she says that everything is correct. A woman says a man has an absolutely amazing sister. The text explains that she wasn't considered normal. Being a hero. A woman thanks Kong Wu for saving her life while saving people. The girl is surprised that everything is fine and says that instead of feeling proud, she says it's her duty and felt only superiority. Kong Wu reveals that Tomoki ended up killing the villain while continuing her heroic activities. It is said that this was her first kill, and at that moment a woman says she felt a true sense of superiority for the first time in her life. The woman is surprised by the murder and says it is so lively. After that incident, she continued to kill, explaining that she killed villains, civilians, and even heroes indiscriminately. It is said that she enjoyed killing most of all heroes she knew who were weaker than her. The feeling of betrayal and shock is explained, and it is also said that at that very moment when she was at the peak of bliss, the guy begs for mercy. The text explains that this is a facial expression. Kong Wu says it drove him crazy. Tome found it suspicious that Tomoki was returning home so late covered in blood, and one day she decided to follow her. The girl says she can't believe it happened and explains that she didn't expect such a turn of events. Kong Wu kills a man by grabbing his face, while another man watches in the corner, blood on his face. The text recounts how the girl witnessed her sister killing other people with her own eyes. The woman is surprised that they are talking about her sister. The girl says it's too late. She's surprised, calling Tome. The man says there's nothing that can be done about it. Kong Wu asks if the other person wants to join in. He is surprised and says that. The girl says that if not, she will do everything herself. Kong Wu looks in surprise at the glowing purple chain that wraps around his arm. That day, Tome awakened her abilities. It is said that this became her first heroic mission. The girl cries and says, "Sister." Soon after, Tome joined the ranks of heroes and continued to pursue her sister, who had turned to the side of villains. The voice tells that Tomoka is the villain after all. Kong Wu says he's taking the woman into custody. He says he's sad that he's no longer called sister. He explains that his interlocutor has become much stronger, but he even feels sorry for her, and tells her that she has creative abilities. Kong Wu says he really feels sorry for those who don't have physical abilities. The woman says that they are constantly at a distance and are unable to experience the exciting feeling of breaking a person with their own hands. Kong Wu says he can't understand it and starts talking to you. A woman says she can't die because her body belongs to someone else. The woman is surprised that she died without suffering, and the man says the name Tome. When she fell in battle against Huang Sung Huan, the woman said she was in great pain. The girl asks with tears in her eyes to save her. Kong Wu says that she died waiting for him to come to her aid. The woman remains silent, then explains that she shouldn't have asked that. Kong Wu speaks now. He says he feels even worse. Kong Wu lands hard. Kong Wu looks forward with concentration. Kong Wu delivers a powerful punch to the man in uniform. He is surprised. Kong Wu screams. The man in uniform looks at him. He strikes and a man with white hair and brightly glowing eyes screams. A man delivers a powerful kick, causing a powerful explosion. The man says there shouldn't be any smoke in that area and explains that it can't be a fire. A man stands with his back to the light shining through the fog. Kong Wu suddenly attacks the man, stabbing him in the stomach. He screams. Blood spurts from his mouth. A girl screams and a man stands in front of her. Kong Wu says that even if she is a convict, he feels bad about taking the life of his comrade's family member. He says that then maybe he could. A girl with blood on her face and clothes says she will be spared. The guy says he made a promise to Lao Xiao, and Kong Wu explains that he's not a hero right now. He asks to spare him. The girl screams that she doesn't want to die and says that the man says he's seen similar scenes more than once. The man begs for mercy. Kong Wu asks how the girl dealt with those who begged her for mercy. The woman says that she is not afraid of death and that she does not care what happens to her. Kong Wu screams. He clenches his fist, from which red and black energy flashes emanate, directed at the man with long hair. The sounds of the battle echoed throughout the prison. The guy says he heard it. The girl remains silent. The woman says it must be Xiao Kongyu and wonders what to do. The text explains that feelings of love have been awakened. The guy says what's going on here and explains that there's a feeling of fear in someone. The boy shouts Kong Wu's name. The lyrics explain the feeling of anticipation. The guy says that this won't work, but the girl remains silent. The guy says he has to go upstairs immediately. Kong Wu suddenly thrusts his hand forward. Then a powerful explosion occurs, throwing him back. The guy says it's a surprise. Kingston says that if you want, Grandpa can play with you. The guy says the old man is creepy. The man says this is a creepy level. The text explains that this is the 5th underground level, numbered 0001. A guy shouts general, and another guy also shouts general. A woman stands with her hands clasped. The guy explains that he is now on the 5th underground floor, and the girl asks what it is. It's said that Kingston and Huang Sung-hwan collided. Kong-woo says it's wonderful, and the man asks what. The woman says that one of them is going to die now. The man says he personally wants Kingston to win. Kong-woo explains it's because he. The girl says by the way. The girl asks why he hangs around with this girl all this time. The man asks if Kong-woo wants to play with him. The guy says he doesn't want something, and the man asks if that's it. The man says Grandpa really wants to play with you. Then the text Kingston appears. The very first prisoner of the Luculus prison, and also the one sentenced to the longest term. It is explained that unlike the prisoners on the 4th and 5th underground floors, who killed countless people, the voice says that he killed only 3. The first victim was the most powerful villain at the time, Caracas. It is said that the 2nd and 3rd victims at that time were the best heroes in the duo Clark and Yahello. After his sudden appearance, the man says he killed 3 people who were called the strongest, and once the Invincible fell at his hands. The man shouts that now he is considered invincible too. Kong-woo says it's a pity, and after these words he himself surrenders to the state. He may be considered the most dangerous, but he says that he killed so few and still surrendered himself, and also explains that at that time the relationship between heroes and the state was not the best. The man says he managed to avoid execution for 30 years, explains that he will not kill, but will just play a little, and says that he does not have the habit of trampling young shoots. The girl says let it be as he wants. The guy holds an object in his hand and looks forward. Kong-woo screams and then falls to his knees. He explains that he cannot let them leave and warns that if they try to resist, he will destroy them. The boy screams that he can't let himself die, and Kong-woo reveals that he's not going to kill him. The guy says we can play a little. The man screams, thrusting his hand forward, and from his palm, many dark clots of energy fly out, rushing towards another man who is standing in the distance. The man shouts that he is not afraid and says he is ready to fight. A man says he will destroy anyone who stands in his way. The man falls through darkness and red flashes. A man clenches his fist, covered in blood. The man clenches his fist, then opens his hand, from which sharp shards fly out, after which he extends his hand forward. A man delivers a powerful punch accompanied by glowing energy lines. The image shows the moment a character falls with a weapon in his hands through space, surrounded by many red mouths with sharp teeth. Against the backdrop of bloody splashes, a man with wings is depicted falling down. The man explains that he can't die because his body doesn't obey the laws of nature, and explains that he's not afraid of death because he's already accustomed to pain and suffering. The girl is surprised and says that's impossible. The guy says he thought the other one had creative abilities, but considering how he defended himself the first time in this attack, it looks like it's not them. A man asks if he will attack again, and another man explains what he was thinking. The girl says that it's too boring to have fun with old people, and why should she kill someone who's about to die himself? The man remains silent. The man says he is impudent. The man says that this is not the first time he has met people like his interlocutor, and explains that these are the same frogs who, while in their well, consider themselves the strongest. A man with 4 sharp metal limbs runs through a shattered and rising stone floor. The man says that these are self-confident boys. The scream is accompanied by the sounds of footsteps. The guy is screaming that everything is going to fall apart, and the girl is saying don't babble. The woman explains that this prison is not broken even by the strength of 1st and 2nd level heroes. It will not collapse because it consists of 20 layers of a special material, and urges not to panic. The man says he will fix it for him. A man shouts to get his brain in order. A powerful explosion occurs. The girl explains that if this is not stopped, everyone will die, and the guy says that he cannot allow this to happen. The masked man suddenly jumps down, aiming a punch towards Kong-woo. A guy is screaming. A guy is looking forward with a tense expression. A man in uniform stands in front of a closed door and is silent. The woman asks if the general is okay and who won, and the man shouts general. Kong-woo says he's just here. The guy says this place is destroyed. The guy says the wall is completely. The woman says that everything is very bad. The guy asks where this drill man has gone, and the girl explains that it might even be interesting. The guy asks if she should go get him. The girl remains silent. The man asks what this old man will give them. The guy says that talking to him will be much more interesting. The girl and the man are silent. The man and woman in police uniforms are surprised and ask what's going on. The girl is surprised and asks who he is. Kong-woo says to get to know her as we go along. The guy yells what she's doing on the 5th floor underground, and he asks what's going on. The woman explains that they can't afford to lose because it would mean the end for them, and the man explains that they must act decisively and not allow defeat to happen. The girl is surprised and says they have a chance to turn things around and win. Kong-woo talks about the observers. A man and a woman look at a screen. The word out appears. A sharp sound is heard. A man and a woman stand with their backs to the viewer in front of a control panel. The guy says, well, that's it. Kong-woo says that the 1st underground floor is cleared and orders the door to the 2nd underground floor to be opened. The guy shouts at Kan-yu and asks him to wait. Kong-woo says general, then makes a sound. The man says that this place is a laboratory where weapons are created and warns that entry is strictly prohibited. Kong-woo explains that it might be because he is on the underground floors. A man screams. Kong-woo says the signal is weak. He says that on the 2nd underground floor, where he got through the stairs, unlike the 1st underground floor, there is a man standing at the door, through which the smell of blood could even be smelled. Kong-woo says he can't afford to make a mistake. It is noted that there are no people here, and not even corpses are visible. Kong-woo says it's very clean here and then yells. A woman in a police uniform screams, "Stay away," as she runs away from 2 aggressive creatures with fiery mouths. The creature with sharp teeth growls. The woman screams, "Stay away." The boy is surprised. The girl runs away with 2 monsters. Kong-woo remains silent. The girl screams that he can't do this. The guy screams, trying to push off something. A man screams while clutching his hand, from which black and red lightning is emanating. The guy screams that he doesn't understand what's going on. Kong-woo screams his name while hugging a man. The woman says that he was not on the 5th underground and asks what just happened, and then explains that it turns out he had abilities and asks why he hid them. The girl starts saying "I" when the man puts his hand on her shoulder. Kong-woo says he is Kong-ho's younger brother. The woman is surprised and asks if he is a hero. The guy asks why the man is in uniform and what he is doing there, and the man explains that he is a colleague of the guy's brother. Kong-woo says it's dangerous here and then apologizes. He says, "Sir." The woman says they are meeting for the first time and she should have introduced herself. The girl says that she is his daughter-in-law and that he looks very similar. Kong-woo remains silent. The guy with the red crown says he wonders how sinful he is. Mazel says he killed her dog. Mizell says that he immediately registered for himself. The guy says he's only seen someone else online before. Hong Ji-ah says the man is even more handsome in person and explains that he's an employee of this prison. The text reveals that Hong Ji-ah is a guard at Luculus prison. The guy says he heard about his brother's girlfriend, but nothing more. The girl explains that in reality. The guy says that here. The woman says the man's nephew is inside. The woman is surprised that less than a month has passed and says that they found out about it only recently. Kong-woo says they wanted to tell you later. A man says this. A woman asks if it's true. The man says yes and asks if something is wrong. Kong-woo says it's nothing. The man asks how they got there and explains that they came to stop the riot and even put on uniforms. The man starts talking. The guy says that he was specially appointed as a guard to carry out the death penalty for criminals, and is surprised. Kong-woo says that he is the death penalty and asks why him. The guy says that the boss made them do it, and he explains that he will explain briefly, since the other person doesn't know anything. The girl is surprised that it is an EMP attack. The woman wonders who it is, and Kong-woo explains that the investigation is still ongoing. The woman asks where Kong-ho is. The man explains that he probably went to the 5th basement floor. Kong-woo says Hyung. The girl is surprised and says that she has a stomach ache. Kong-woo explains that he can't afford to relax because he doesn't know what will happen next. There is no text in the speech bubble. The character is silent. The guy says that a distress signal is being sent out on the 5th underground floor. The woman says thank God. The man remains silent. Kong-woo says it's dangerous here and offers to take him upstairs. But the other man yells no, no. He explains that in order to be calm. Kong-woo explains that they will need his help to get down, and the man asks why. He says that he has the ability to read the memories of whoever he looks at and explains that this is a special ability of psychometry. The girl says she didn't read his mind and doesn't do it for no reason. The man remains silent. Kong-woo says he only uses the ability for psychiatric purposes or to determine whether people have actually committed a crime. The man asks how he can get help with this skill. The woman says that she is currently on the 2nd floor. Meal and Male capture the solitary confinement prisoners and explain that they both have special summoning abilities. The monster subjugates the will of the opponent and, attacking with this skill, turns everyone into its puppets. Now all the prisoners on the 2nd floor are in there. The man says he knows something about it. Kong-woo explains that they were both Marco's successors. The guy says that since he has such information they should get up, and explains that some of them are puppets. The girl listens. Kong-woo says they are security guards. He says that they subjugate everyone indiscriminately, but he can distinguish them using the ability. He asks if they've already become puppets, does that mean they're already dead, and what's the point? Kong-woo explains that they're all alive, and if the ability is disrupted, everyone will return to their previous state. He says that they are unlikely to succeed in doing this, and the man replies that he will do it. Kong-woo says he can convince them. The man explains that this is too dangerous for the woman and says that even before becoming a future mother, she should not be exposed to such danger. The girl says that she was a security guard and had to do her duty. The man reveals that he is Kong-woo. He is silent. The man says it's good. A woman is surprised to find herself surrounded by red, sharp lines. The guy screams, gasping. The man reaches out to the guy, who is surrounded by red energy and rises upward. The guy says that these are his abilities and explains that he will save them. The girl asks if this thing will harm her, but Kong-woo remains silent. He says that the image shows several identical creatures with stone skin and glowing yellow halos above their heads standing together. The woman explains that this is the ability of the elder meal and warns them to be on guard, as many employees are under his spell. The man asks which of them are security guards. Kong-woo says wait. The girl in the uniform is surrounded by red energy threads. The man says The right demon says that those two are at the very end. The guy says that first we need to neutralize them, and then they'll sort it out. The girl screams, surprised and trying to understand something. The red ball says it can't see anything. The man asks Kong-woo what it is. A man says a word, a man says a word. A man explains the distribution. The man says that those who are still alive are. Two guards are talking. A creature with a crown jumps on a man in uniform. Kong-woo explains that the dead are criminals. Several halos wearing monsters scream and rush forward. He delivers a powerful blow, tearing the monsters apart. One of the monsters looks forward in horror as it is torn apart. He continues to attack, striking the monsters. His gaze is focused. The man is surrounded by red ribbons that form a pentagram. Kong-woo stands below and moves forward, while several creatures with horns and yellow rings above their heads fly around him. A man stands in the center of a glowing ball, surrounded by 4 lifeless bodies. The woman says it's not just blood, but blood that can change the world. The man explains that this blood belongs to an ancient creature, and if used incorrectly, the consequences will be disastrous. The woman explains that they must be extremely careful and not let the blood fall into the wrong hands. The man says that they must. The guy asks the girl what she thinks of this stranger. The man asks if he is stronger than the teacher, and the girl explains that she doesn't even know. Kong-woo asks what about that girl. The man is silent. The girl says Appa. The girl says she's scared. The man remains silent. The man says not to worry. The girl explains that they all died, and the man explains that they are now souls that cannot leave. The girl says they must help each other to find peace, and the man explains that to do that, they need to understand why they stayed here. Kong Wu says that he can't just kill them. He screams. The boy asks why he was locked in. The man explains that he was scared and apologizes for not telling him beforehand. Kong Wu asks what happened, and the man explains that he was temporarily isolated. He screams that he can't believe what he heard. Kong Wu says that he killed them with his own hands and then is surprised that. The guy asks if anyone was personally executed and if there are any problems, and he explains that it was his idea. Kong Wu says it's his. The girl asks if the general has given his consent. The man replies that he has. The guy is screaming. The man wonders what she's even thinking about, and Kong Wu asks. A young man asks if a man surrounded by a red energy field is okay. The man explains that he only did what a warden is supposed to do and asks what's wrong. He's surprised by the word warden. The girl screams that they don't kill people, but their job is to correct criminals. The guy in the red aura says that they have to, and Kong Wu explains that that's enough, he's heard enough of this. The woman says that heroes save people but never kill, and that only the law can judge people. He explains that he himself knows what will happen if he blindly strives for more. The guy says he would have died tragically at the hands of the uncooperative animal. Kong Wu says he doesn't care whether he's a hero or a warden. He explains that he is now doing what he was originally supposed to do, and killing animals that have abandoned their humanity. The guy says Kong Wu. The guy says they are people too. The image has no text or speech, but shows a close-up of the character's eye. The man asks what they want to say and repeats the expression people too. Kong Wu explains that everyone from the second underground floor onwards are criminals who have killed dozens of people and they deserve to die. It is explained that because innocent people died in the past, there was a lot of controversy about the death penalty. Kong Wu explains that after the advent of people with psychometric abilities, injustice disappeared and asks if the interlocutors know about it. A man says that everyone had their own story, and another man is surprised, asking if it is a story. Kong Wu says especially male and male. The man explains to Jia. He says that there are no people in the world without history and explains that the victims also had their own lives. The girl says they will die. Kong Wu says that the execution will either be at his hands or the usual one, and explains that the outcome will be the same. The guy shouts that it's enough. The man says that's all. Kong Wu says that if they continue to bicker, he will send them upstairs. He says that he will act as he planned before. The men say they are demon kings who rule this world. They explain that their power is absolute and no one can resist them. Kong Wu asks which one of them is the guard and explains that the three in the back are. The guy says he understands. The man explains that Kong Ho will be very upset when he finds out about this. Kong Wu says that he can't afford to lose and explains that if he loses, he will lose everything. A guy screams that he can't let them go, and at the same time another guy screams that they shouldn't let them go. A third guy screams that they should destroy them. The man delivers a powerful blow, accompanied by a bright streak of light. Kong Wu screams. The voice explains that he will be very upset when he finds out about this. An inscription appears with the words from Chen Yu. Kong Wu recalled all the words about ideology and felt longing and hatred. The girl is surprised by the words that tear the space around the fist. Kong Wu says words that cause him to have a strong reaction. He is surprised, the words break the silence. The man shouts that everything is possible with words. The voice tells whether it is good or bad and calls it a mod, but explains that this melancholy belongs to Kong Wu. He says fifth. The man points his hands forward, releasing from them a multitude of red energy spheres and threads that attack the creatures around him. The image shows two figures cloaked in red threads or energy. The text states that she helped him kill prisoners. Kong Wu says you. He screams and gradually fades away. A man stands surrounded by a dark purple mist. Kong Wu smiles. The girl screams that he is the man and he look at her. Kong Wu says that this time. 3 guards say there are exactly 3 of them. Kong Wu says then now. He talks about the meeting. The girl with red eyes explains that they came themselves. Kong Wu remains silent. He says he will have less work. Kong Wu says the name male. The girl asks why they didn't come to them, and the other girl explains that they were supposed to die. Kong-woo says to break his spell. He says that it is possible to die painlessly. The girl asks if there is a non-lethal option. He says that on the first 2 floors he gave the opportunity to put on monitoring devices. Kong-woo explains that the beasts from the 2nd underground floor, which killed dozens of people, deserve nothing but death. The man says stranger. The guy says there is also a girl who caught them. Kong-woo says it's from your colleagues. The girl says he'll definitely go to hell, while the other asks male to keep quiet. Kong-woo says that now they will find out who will be going there. The girl explains that if they promise to let him out, they will remove the spell, and he looks ahead with tension. The guy shouts that he is calling meal and male. The man explains how to put on the monitoring device. The guard explains. The girl explains that they have not committed a crime for which one can die, and asks if their interlocutors understand this. The girl explains that they also refuse. Kong-woo tells Meal that they won't be persuaded. He says that you shouldn't talk to animals. A girl with a hood and a man with blue eyes listen to him. The girl says Kong-woo's name with surprise. He says that everything is fine and there is a way. He explains that they feel pain too. The girl says that they don't want to fight and can come to an agreement if they listen. The woman says she refuses. Kong-woo reveals that he is Mr. Kong-yu. The guy screams that he can't believe this is happening. The man explains that it's a force he controls. Kong-woo says to sit silently. A man screams stranger as he runs towards 2 tied-up people surrounded by red energies. The guy screams that he can't breathe, and the girl says she can't get out. The 2 men scream in pain from the red strings that bind them. Kong-woo explains that one day, a villain told him about something. He talks about the torture method. Kong-woo says he never thought he'd need it. 2 girls hang, tied with red ribbons, and a man stands before them. The girl says that if the interlocutor does not want to talk, then he himself is a beast. The girl is surprised, asking if it is an animal, and immediately denies it. Kong-woo says he's a monster. The man says he can't allow him to use the power he's received, explaining that if he does, he'll die with them. He explains that he's not afraid of death and intends to use this power to destroy his enemies. The man warns that the consequences will be dire, but he insists on. The man says these special skills are too tiring. A man stands in front of 2 brightly glowing red symbols. The voice says that neither one nor the other can be called human. The guy is surprised that they call him a monster. The man says it spoils. A multitude of stone fists with crowns on their fingers clutch red threads that connect a huge stone monster with sharp teeth. A man in a police uniform walks forward, clenching his fist. Kong-woo says mood. The girl is silent, looking at the glowing ball in her hands. The girl asks Male if she needs help, and Male refuses. The guy explains to focus on the wall. The girl says she can handle it. A man is surprised by the appearance of a magic circle. The sounds of sudden movement are accompanied by the appearance of red sharp lines. Several monsters with red marks on their mouths and ominous eyes appear in the frame. The man says that this is the summoning skill. A man runs towards the center of exploding red-violet energy. Kong-woo jumps and strikes the monster, causing blood to fly and an eye to be torn off. The guy rushes into battle, delivering a powerful blow that causes blood to fly and the ground to crumble. The monster fires red energy beams. Kong-woo parries the beams with his sword, surrounded by numerous monsters. The monster, with a wide smile, releases a powerful red energy burst directed downwards, where the man tries to protect himself with his hands. Kong-woo shouts that he will not let them pass and delivers a powerful blow, cutting through the enemies with a red energy blade. The girl is silent, looking at the glowing ball. The girl asks how much is left, and the man replies that there is very little left. The guy says there are 10 minutes left, and the girl explains that there is just a little bit more left. The girl screams that it's time, while blood drips from her finger, and she raises her hand over the glowing ball. The hooded man says he's finally found it and explains it's a very important artifact. The girl is surprised and says it really does look impressive. 2 masked and cloaked men stand nearby, preparing for action. The image shows a powerful explosion or release of energy, accompanied by a bright flash and flying debris. The girl explains that it's a cough. The girl asks what it is. The girl says what she's been thinking. The man explains what she means. He says he doesn't understand why he needs to engage in mass arrests. Kong-woo says there's no need to catch them one by one. He says this is their last chance to break the spell. Kong-woo says he can't afford to die here. The guy is surprised and says he can't die. The girl is surprised by how many layers there are in this wall. A man in a police uniform explains that he can't use force because it's prohibited by law, and explains that if he does, he'll be fired. A woman with long, blonde hair says it's unfair, and Kong-woo explains that they need to find another way. He says it's a spell. The man with the different eyes says oh. The girl screams and stretches her arms forward. Punch occurs. The man explains that there are three forces in the world that govern everything, and explains that one is the power of the gods, another is the power of demons, and the third is the power of humans. The girls listen to the man, and three powerful entities, symbolizing these forces, appear behind them. The woman says Mikhail. Gabriel and Raphael are talking about something. The boy says he can't let them pass and explains that they must stop the enemy at any cost. The girl explains that their forces are insufficient to deal with such an enemy and says they need to find another way. The boy says he's ready to take the risk and fight to the end, despite the danger. The girl with the hood and the girl with long hair are surprised and speak, and the man explains the sound. A girl screams while trying to control a magic circle. The guy shouts that they don't fit. The girl screams that if they are not let in, then all the jailers. The man says that if you don't let them all go. The girl says she can't believe this happened. The eyes express surprise. A girl tied with red ribbons looks surprised as she addresses a guy. The man says his sister's death will not be painless. The guy screams that he is screaming and calls Appa. The girl screams that she is in pain, and Kong-woo says something in a calm voice. The guy is screaming. Kong-woo says that the girl screams that she will remove and dissolve the spell. The man listens. The guy asks to let everyone go first so he can talk to the jailer. Kong-woo says that until you do this. The guy is screaming. The hooded girl says they must pray not to die. The headband-wearing girl explains they can't give up or they'll die. A man in uniform says he can't believe what's happening, and another man in uniform explains that the situation is getting out of control. Kong-woo is surprised and asks what that means. The guy screams, "What the fuck is this?" The man and the boy ask him anxiously what he is doing here. Kong-woo yells, "What are you eating?" The girl with red eyes says she can't believe what's happening. The girl with blue eyes is surprised and says the same thing. A group of police officers approaches bodies lying in a pool of blood. The man is surprised that the hero is here with Kong-woo, and the other man says go upstairs. He says it's good. The guy with white hair says that since the spell is broken, they couldn't. The man in uniform remains silent. Kong-woo says he will let him talk to Hong Ji-ah. The girl with red eyes says no, and the other girl with blue eyes is surprised. The man says they'll change locations first. The girls stand against a backdrop of numerous dead bodies. The girl is screaming. The woman wonders what happened, and Kong-woo says it's over. The guy asks about meal and mail, and he explains that the spell has been lifted from the jailers and they are saved and points to them. The girl says that they say that they want to talk to them before they die. Kong-woo says let's not repeat ourselves. The man stands in front of them and listens. He says that the beasts after the second underground floor, which killed dozens of people, will be destroyed by his hands. The woman says that the prison guard Hong Ji-ah, the man asks if they deserve to die. The guy says they really didn't do anything that terrible and asks her to say something. The girl is silent next to him. Kong-woo is silent. The man asks him to hurry up. He tells Mazel and Mail that they are. Hong Ji-ah is surprised. Kong-woo says they deserve it. The girl says she can't believe he's alive and explains that she thought he was dead. The guy says he didn't expect to meet her here either. Kong-woo remains silent. The text explains that she couldn't do anything. The guy says he's a jailer. The man asks if they have anything else to say. The girl says well. The man says he has fulfilled his promise and offers to start. Kong-woo says it's the death penalty. The girl cries and screams. The girl is silent, and another girl screams that she is calling Appa. Kong Wu screams and delivers a powerful punch with his fist surrounded by red energy. A powerful explosion occurs with a bright flash and cracks. Kong Wu screams. A man talks about Marco. The man says equality. The girl is surprised and says it's the teacher. Kong Wu is also surprised and says the same thing. He says Mr. Marco. A man screams. A guy stands and looks at two girls hugging. Kong Wu is surprised, asking what. The boy and girl are surprised, asking if this is their paired ability and summoning a hallucination. A man is surprised or speaks or explains or tells or explains or shouts or thinks or remembers or dreams or whispers or laughs or cries or smiles or is angry or is silent or nods or shakes his head or looks or listens or reads or writes or runs or walks or stands or. Kong Wu explains that these are definitely Marco's abilities. He wonders why he is protecting them, and the two girls are holding on to each other in fear. Kong Wu says that although nothing will change anyway. A girl is surprised that he can't stop, and another girl says that he can't stop. The man and the boy fall to the ground from a powerful explosion. The man explains that his power is magic, which allows him to manipulate space and time, as well as create protective barriers and offensive spells. The man stands, prepared for battle, surrounded by magical circles and symbols that glow with a bright yellow light. Kong Wu says that the old man is asking what he did. The man wonders what this phenomenon is. The man screams as glass shards fly and magic circles flare up around him. The man says the name Seo Kong Yu. Kong Yu says the name. The woman says she couldn't get rid of the disgusting feeling. Kong Wu reveals that he's breaking through a bunch of Marco's protective barriers. He is silent. The man explains that he's always been a kind and caring person and that he's happy to see children grow up happy. The girl is surprised, and the man places his hand on the boy's head. A group of people watches in the background. The man says the old man never gets tired and laughs that it's a good sight. The man with the ponytail looks tense. Kong Wu says, "Who said they'd get married?" The man asks, "What's wrong?" The girl explains that they'll have a child when they get married. The woman says she doesn't like cheaters like him, and the man is indignant that he hasn't cheated. The woman asks them not to argue. The guy shouts, "Guys!" The man suggests not just watching, but having fun together. The woman tells that Kong Wu is surprised and asks what is wrong with him. The man asks if they don't like children, and he explains that that's not the issue. The man says he simply doesn't know how to communicate with them and explains that perhaps he can't relate to them, just like the man's parents who dealt with him as a child. Kong Wu reveals that his parents died when he was very young. The man says that he has no one else except his older brother and exclaims. The man apologizes. Kong Wu remains silent. The man explains that he apologizes. Kong Wu remains silent. The man says his name and he asks what's wrong. The man explains that then you can behave like a child with him. The guy is surprised, asking what. The man laughs and says it's a joke, and Kong Wu explains that he didn't know a man could make that face. The man explains that what he said wasn't just empty words and suggests that if things get difficult, he should do just that. He remains silent. The man refuses. The guy shouts that he is not afraid of death and wants to live. The guy screams that he can't die and says that if he dies then who will protect them. The man says she shouldn't have come here because it's dangerous and he can't protect her. The woman says he shouldn't have taken such a risk for her. The man says he can't let her die now. An unconscious woman with blood on her face lies next to a bleeding man. Blood drips and spreads across the floor. The guy is screaming. Kong Wu says his name. The man says that everything is fine and everything is good. The man says that everything will be fine, and so it is. When the last shield remains, the woman holds the unconscious girl in her arms and looks worried. Kong Wu explains that he can't afford to lose another person and asks them not to interfere. The man says he doesn't mean to hurt anyone and wants to help. Kong Wu says that if he doesn't stop the situation, no one will be able to. He says, "Jia." The woman is surrounded by red lightning. Kong Wu asks if the other person can read the memories of abilities, and the woman replies that she can. He says he needs to find out why the old man created this. The guy next to him is surprised. The guy asks what it is and calls the hero Marco. The woman says these are memories from Marco's hero ability. Kong-woo says he looks annoying, and the girl explains that they are cute. The girl asks why them and explains that the skill was cast on them. Kong-woo says he didn't do it on purpose. He says he'll repeat it again just in case. Kong-woo says that no matter what the criminals are connected to, the fact of their death penalty will remain unchanged. The man explains that he can't afford to lose these two children because they are his only family. The girls cling to him with anxiety and hope, expressing support and fear. The girl says, "Well then." The man and two children look down. The man says so and hits with a hammer. The man explains that he will begin a bidding war for children with special talents. The men listen. The guy holds onto the bars and says it's hell. It is explained that Mazel and Mail are in prison. Kong-woo says it's been 6 years. They explain that the auction of people with special talents takes place at an auction house hidden beneath the ruined earth in a post-apocalyptic world, intended for VIPs who have a hobby of collecting such talents. A man with a hammer leads the auction. Meal and Mail were sold there by their father. The text explains that people with special talents were the most sought after. A man stares intently at a glowing blue ball of energy he holds in his hand. The girl explains that along with those who could change their shape, it is explained that they, having the ability to summon, sold worse than others, and no one wanted to buy them. It is said that special abilities were hidden within them, and they were just waiting for a solution. The man tells them to get out because they have found a buyer. The girl stands behind the man. The woman says that these are the babies that summon angels and demons, and the man explains that they have a reason why they want to acquire them. The woman explains that she's just curious. The man asks if he's interested in case they want to return them, and then asks sharply what. The girl smiles and says she wonders what would happen if you crossed an angel with a demon. The woman says that they are still small and don't know, and then explains that everything comes with time. An explosion and the destruction of buildings are depicted against the backdrop of a burning city. The man shouts, "What is this?" The girl asks Mail if she is okay, and Mail is surprised, calling her Appa. Kong-woo is surprised that this is. The girl laughs. The boy and girl are surprised. The woman explains that she can't afford to lose, and the man explains that he doesn't intend to lose. The man says they must be prepared for any eventuality. The man laughs and points to his mustache, shouting the name Magic. The girl is surprised and calls out to Mr. Marco. It is explained that Lipus is the ability to summon Marco's assistant. The girl wonders what kind of lesson this is and how to repeat it. The man explains that she can do it with diligent training and reminds her that imagination is crucial when it comes to summoning abilities. The girl says the man is being too hasty. The man asks if they did what he asked. The woman explains that everyone present at the auction was transported, and the prisoners were released. The man suggests continuing the lesson, and the girl explains that this cannot be called a lesson and is surprised how they can release such huge meteors. The man apologizes. The girl listens. The girl asks if they can take them too. A girl asks if the other person has the ability to summon, and another girl explains that they also have this ability. The girl says that the teacher promised that she would be his only student. The man explains that he actually didn't say that. The girl is surprised that. A woman asks him to show her skills, and the boy shouts that he is a liar. The guy with red eyes says angel and demon. The woman says it's strange that children have this skill, and at that age they don't usually create toys or pets. The man explains, The girl says that these children interested her. The man tells them to follow him and promises to tell them about magic. A girl with bunny ears stands with her arms crossed. Two children stand hugging each other. Marco taught Meal and Mail how to manage their abilities and explained that the most important thing in their abilities is imagination. The man explains that the image in his head becomes tangible. The woman says that Meal most often materializes the image of her mother, who protected her in childhood. Kong-woo explains that Mail's demon summoning skills were influenced by his abusive father. The man explains that if you look at this world from a broader perspective, you can freely control your abilities. The girls listen to him. The man explains that preferences also play a role. as in the girl's case. The girl says that meteors are the best. The man says that he is interested in what direction the interlocutors will choose. The girl begins to say that The guy says he's interested in heaven and hell. The man is surprised that it's the afterlife, and the girl explains that it's unusual. Two children say their mother told them before she died that good people go to heaven and bad people go to hell. The girl explains that these words became their support. The girl explains that they want to set this world on the right path, and the guy says that in order for good people to go to heaven and bad people to go to hell, the man says they can do it too. It is said that but on one day, the man calls loudly for Mr. Marco. The girl says the Heroes Association has requested assistance. The man asks what the association is. The man says they decided to ignore his offer and are now pretending nothing happened and explains what they said. Kong-woo explains that a Swede has arrived in Finland. A girl in a costume with ears is surprised and excited. The guy is surprised, asking what. She says that equality shouldn't immediately react to something like this and asks what they're doing. She explains that she doesn't know herself. The man says, "Oh my God." The man is silent. The girl is silent. The girl and woman are surprised, asking if they are being abandoned. A woman asks the teacher not to leave and when he will return. A man hugs a child. The man explains that there is a serious rival there, and it could take years. The girl asks if they can go with him. The man says it's too dangerous for them. The man says it's not possible. The girl screams that they don't want to be abandoned again. The girl says they're not something to be abandoned. The man turns to Meal and Mail. The man says it's a parting gift, explaining that the clothes now have a mark of ability on them, so the teachers will treat them well at the orphanage. The man says they will definitely meet again and asks them to be good until then. The girls are surprised. You could call it fear for a new destiny, because Meal and Mail did not go to an orphanage after that, but began to practice their skills while living in the wilderness. The girl says that in order to be strong when their teacher returns, the man explains what kind of effort they need to make. The woman tells what is good, and the man asks what is bad. 2 years passed. Meal and Mail decided for themselves and set the boundaries of what was right. The image shows a landscape with a mountain range and a city against the backdrop of a sunset. He says that good people go to heaven. It is explained that the bad go to hell. The girl and Kong-woo explain that this is it. They say they have begun to create heaven and hell, which they could only imagine, and they call it Utopia. It is said that in just 1 month, Meal and Mail transformed the entire village into a kind of utopia. Meal and Mail summoned angelic and demonic soldiers to watch over the villagers. This continued for a month, after which they decided who would go to heaven and who would go to hell. Explains that they were based on what their mother forbade them as children. It is explained that you cannot throw garbage on the street, you cannot lie, you cannot quarrel with friends, you cannot make noise in public places, and you cannot steal. And so on. These were very simple children's rules. The guy says he was following them, and the text explains that this applies even to those who met the conditions. The guy says he noticed how kind they are. The girl asks not to kill them, hugging the boy who is also crying. The man tells him not to be afraid. Kong-woo says he doesn't intend to kill them. The man says he wants to send him to heaven to have wonderful dreams, and the man is surprised and says ah and a. The girl says forever. The text tells us that the utopia of these two clearly had flaws. The man says, come on. Utopia says he will start their meeting. The man says that's something. The woman explains that if they can't find a way, they'll have to abandon the project. The man explains that they have until tomorrow to prepare. Kong-woo says they need to carefully plan and avoid mistakes. The man explains that everyone must be prepared for any eventuality. Xiabangzo says that perhaps the others went on vacation. Costa says that he wants to know if there is any point in hanging around here any longer and demands to quickly explain why they were called. The guy yells, "What is this?" The man explains that it's a system. The girl says it's impossible. The guy says there are only low-level players from the first floor here with no achievements and asks if there are anyone from the second floor. The girl explains that she wants to level up and needs to catch someone stronger. The woman says that there is someone who is at the level of the third floor, but it will be ineffective compared to the level of difficulty. The girl starts talking by the way. Kong-woo says that he doesn't understand why those two, who captured some small village, were included in the list and explains that they won't help him level up. The woman explains that the children are level appropriate for the first floor, so she included them in the summons. The boy asks how old they are. The man says they're about 10. He says they're not even teenagers yet, but have already conquered an entire village, and explains that when they grow up, they'll become second or third floor villains. Then he suggests they wait until then. The man says he'll have to wait about 5 years because that's too long. The guy asks if that's true. The man explains that there's another caveat. The man explains that these children are actually Mago students. The woman says that everything is clear, and the man is surprised, asking if he is a magician. Kong-woo explains that Mago has gone to Finland to catch Est. The girl says that Mago should go there himself, and then let him go after. The man explains that they need to listen. A girl asks if she can go. The caption says it's KTU, a third-tier hero of the summoning class. The girl is screaming. The girl says that someone has entered their territory, and the other explains that she sees it. A cityscape is depicted against a sunset backdrop. A girl wearing a mask and hair accessories is taking a selfie, making a victory sign, while a man wearing a mask with horns and a crown stands next to her. The girl says that it is a special class, mind control, or they just fell asleep, and explains that it is unlikely that they died, and then wonders what it is. The girl is surprised. 2 monks with closed eyes emit light. The girl says stranger. The girl asks what brought the other here. The girl is surprised and says wow. The girl says that the special class has such convenient abilities and she didn't think that they could do such a thing, and also asks what else they can do. The girl asks to answer the question and explains that by the way. The girl says that the mentor knows about the abilities of a special class, and the man explains that the mentor only takes as students those who have the abilities of a summoning class. The girl says they hid it that way. The boy and girl are surprised. A girl asks who she is, and another girl anxiously holds her shoulder. The girl says she's your sunbae. KTU says her name is KTU. The guy explains that they don't have any sunbae except Rifus, and the girl says mentor, and the guy says that the mentor apparently forgot about her. The girl is surprised that in fact her. The girl says that she was very interested in sharp things. The girl says that the mentor said that in addition to offensive magic, she also needs to learn defensive magic, but defensive magic is not to her taste, so she did not listen to the mentor. The girl says that after this his interest in her disappeared. The girl says she feels offended. The girl says the mentor is cruel. The girl screams that he is so heartless, ruthless and cruel, repeating that he is cruel. The woman screams that he's cruel. The girl tells her brother that he scares her. Kong-woo is surprised that he said she had great magic abilities and explains that he always praised her with a smile on his face. The girl says he's now decided to forget her. The girl with the magic circle explains that she's defending herself from an attacker. The girl screams that she needs to leave immediately, otherwise something bad will happen. The boy is surprised. The girl is surrounded by a multitude of weapons, hovering around her in a purple glow. A girl says stop, and another girl explains no. Kong-woo screams and the man screams that he can't believe what's happening. The image shows hanging instruments covered in blood. The text box states that this could be the case. The girl screams that she can't take it anymore and explains that she will do things her way from now on. She says that her eyes see the truth and that no one can stop her. A man screams with laughter. The girl screams, laughing, and extends a hand with long claws. The man, with his eyes closed and a wound on his neck, remains silent. The girl screams that she is having so much fun. The girl screams that she can't believe this is happening. The girl asks Male if she's okay, and Male calls the girl Appa. The girl explains that she created a protective field to keep the enemies inside. The girl says she can't believe this is happening and that they shouldn't have come here, and the other girl says they need to act now or everything will be lost. The guy says that this is it and explains what this feeling is like. The girl says she's having a lot more fun than she imagined. She explains that she wants more. The girl says, a little. A glowing purple blade appears in her hand. A girl screams while two men protect themselves with an energy shield. The girl is screaming. The girl says she's using defensive magic. The boy and the other girl are concentrating on using magic, spreading it around themselves. The guy with the stone body says that the teacher taught them well and that she is strong. Then he shouts, but the girl screams that she hasn't attacked yet. The girl says he's going to hell, and Kong-woo explains how strict they are with their sunbae. The girl says that she always wanted to try using her skills in a crowded place, but no matter what kind of hero she was. The girl explains that she would have been arrested immediately anyway, so she sat quietly. The girl says that a whole bunch of people were prepared for her, and she was able to fulfill her wish, and she thanks them for it. The girl says that it seems that now she will be able to carry out the call. The girl screams. The girl and the man raise their hands in alarm and look forward. The guy screams. Powerful blow occurs. The girl says that she succeeded and explains that the most important thing for summoning abilities is imagination. It is said that the experience that KTU gained from killing countless people caused a stormy flow of fantasy in her. The woman says she couldn't create such magnificent things before, but her skills have become much stronger. The guy says he's huge and cool. The girl says that it is thanks to them, and now. The man says goodbye. The girl is surprised, and then a caption appears explaining what's happening. A man and a girl stand before a huge stone creature with a red eye and a crown, and the man explains the situation. It happened to Male too. She says she is the devil. Male saw KTU as a terrible demon, and her abilities became stronger. Kong-woo says Male, and the girl is surprised and calls him Appa. The girl is surprised that she killed a man. The man says no. The voice explains that she was not human. A year later, Male and Male created an even larger utopia of their own. And they were also discussed again at the heroes' meeting. It's explained that this is about the villains of the second underground floor of Luculus prison. It's explained that this is the second underground level. Two people and an image of a dangerous creature are shown. The man shouts that it is Male and Male. The man asks if these are the other man's students and how this happened, and the other explains that he wants to ask him. The man says he has to, and Kong-woo explains that he won't leave. The man says that he will not give this matter to another, and the second man asks, "What do you mean?" and clarifies that he definitely. The man says he asked to return after Shui's murder, but the request was not fulfilled, and explains that Shui took him hostage and handed him over to the government, so he is not going to listen to requests. The man says there is no point in talking further and explains that he will go. The man says that he said that the other one won't take a step towards them. The man tells her to shut up and explains that he is a madman whose vision has been clouded by power. The man explains that he can't afford to lose this deal because it's the only way to save the company. Another man says he understands his situation but warns that if he loses, the consequences will be catastrophic. The man with the golden glow around him says he has a plan that can help, and the woman explains that she can't afford to die because she has a mission to complete, and asks the man not to interfere. The man says he has no intention of interfering, but warns that if she dies, he will too. The woman says she knows this and is prepared to accept the consequences. Lausa says he'll go. It's explained that he's a level 3 hero. The man says it's a good quest to level up a hero to level 3 and orders them to leave. The other man counters that he's already said something. The man is surprised when he calls Marco. The man explains that there's nothing in this world that money can't buy, and that with money you can get anything. The girl says it sounds like a fairy tale and says she doesn't believe in such things. The man explains that money is power and says she should. The man says to trust him with it. Kong-woo asks to trust him with it. Against the backdrop of the city, numerous glowing rings of red and yellow colors of various sizes float in the sky. The boy is surprised by the name Male. The girl says they have a stranger, and the other girl explains that yes, Appa. A woman says how many sins she has committed. A woman stands on the street surrounded by red lights. The girl is surprised, asking if the stranger has really lived her entire life. The woman explains that 3 people are hanging in the air with crowns on their heads, and a girl with long hair stands in front of them with a clenched fist. The guy on the right asks if these heroes are the ones who were sent here before, and the guy on the left explains that they are still alive. The girl asks who the interlocutor is and what business she came for. The girl says she is a hero of Laos and has come to take them away. The girl says hero, and then is surprised that it's him again. The girl explains that this place is a prison for demons and that the most dangerous creatures are kept here. Kong Wu says they must be careful because these demons can destroy them with a single move. The girl explains that they only have one chance to get out of here alive. The girl screams for them to leave immediately. The guy says that if you don't leave, you'll go to hell, and the girl explains that it's okay. The woman says that only she will take them with her. A girl and a boy watch the enormous fiery monsters with alarm. A woman in armor stands against the flames, calmly observing the scene. A woman says she is a queen and asks everyone to listen carefully. A man and a boy look at her. The girl says that they are good guys and there is no sense of hostility in their attacks. The woman expresses regret and explains that if the interlocutors had behaved correctly from the very beginning, this would not have happened. The woman says it's strange to think they're the ones administering justice, and that many people want to stop them. The girl warns people not to approach. The guy says not to be scared, he won't hurt her. The girl is surprised. The woman says that the interlocutor is doing wrong things and that his teacher is also watching. The girl is surprised that the teacher has returned, and the boy asks Male not to believe that this is true and says that it is a lie. The girl says she is telling the truth. The image shows a gloved hand extended forward against a golden glow. The woman says they will return if the spell is removed and suggests going to the teacher. 3 figures walk holding each other's hands. The woman says she knew it. The girl and the boy are surprised. The man says another will come for him. The woman shouts teacher and the man says he is calling Meal and Male. The girl tells the teacher that they have special abilities, and their mother told them to hide them from others. The man says that they only take students with the ability to summon and apologizes for lying. The girl wonders who told Meal about this, and the man says that a hero named KTU said that she was her student. The woman speaks as a student. The man explains that he hasn't taught anyone except Lipus and her. The girl with green eyes is surprised, and the girl with pink eyes explains that she only gave advice once, when they met at the Hero Council. A man says something, a girl is surprised, and another girl watches her. The text explains that they met again after 3 years. The teacher and his students were able to talk about everything that was happening at that time. It tells how much effort they put into growing up kind, and why others don't acknowledge that effort. It explains that Meal and Male never understood this. The man is silent. The woman asks if they've talked enough, and the man calls Laos. The man asks if the woman can leave these children with him. He says that even though they didn't kill, they had tens of thousands of people as hostages, and one of the heroes died, so it will be difficult for them to escape legal execution. The man explains that they only chose the wrong path because of their age and that they let everyone go, but if they were left to him, he would explain. Kong Wu says that's impossible. The man says he is Lao and asks if the children speak. The man tells Marco that he, too, is not in favor of the death penalty, even for minors, but the law is the law. The man shouts Laos, and the woman explains that rehabilitating criminals is not the job of heroes. The man says that he, like his interlocutor, believes that there are many problems in their world. The man says that's why Marco, a girl, invites a man to join her. The man looks at her. The man wonders what this has to do with these children and then says I. The woman says she will change the world. The woman says she has one condition. The man says to allow children to use the skills so that they don't die before they reach adulthood. The guy says it's good. The man explains that until then they will not die, no matter who attacks them. The woman stands behind him. The man is silent. The woman asks if it is Mr. Kong Wu, but Kong Wu remains silent. The girl says that she heard a lot about the man from him. The woman says she offers to change the world together. The man says that the girl says that people were judged only by their own rules, and explains that laws are also created by the people of this world. The man in uniform says what's the difference? The woman says she and Kong Ho worked hard to re-educate these children. The guy says he's not saying they didn't do anything wrong, but they may be fully aware of what they did. A man stops a red energy ball by spreading cracks around it. A man in a police uniform uses red energy to create a sphere around himself and direct it toward another person. The text reveals the name Kong-woo. A woman with a child screams that she. A man with black hair and a hat stares intently at his hand, from which red energy emanates. The girl with red eyes and the boy with green eyes are surprised and ask not to kill them. The girl asks Kong-woo to forgive them, admitting that they were indeed wrong. The man screams as he stands in front of him, surrounded by red energy. The girl with red eyes and the girl with blue eyes are crying and saying, "Look here." Kong-woo says he's in a bad mood and is drowning in worry. The girl tells and also, hugging another girl, says something with anxiety. The hero says that these experiences. Kong-woo screams that he can't believe what's happening and explains that all his memories of her are disappearing, as if shattering into pieces. He explains that he doesn't understand why this is happening and says he doesn't want to forget her. A loud laugh is heard. The stone hands crumble and shatter into pieces. A girl with a bouquet in her hand raises her hand, and a man and a boy stand next to her. Kong-woo screams as pieces and fragments covered in glowing purple lines fly around him. The man says what worries him so much. The woman says it's not right for them to worry so much. The man and woman remain silent. Kong-woo says he's even more handsome in real life. The girl says hello and calls the interlocutor her sweetheart. The woman explains that she and Kong-woo got married, and now he belongs to her. The man explains that Kong-woo won't be able to run away because she will always be there. The girl explains that Kong-woo is now her husband. The girl says it's nice to meet you and gives her name. The hand delivers a powerful blow, accompanied by a thumping sound. Kong-woo says that when people talk, isn't it customary to listen to them? He says he will become your master. The girl wonders why he is so rude. The man asks for forgiveness, calling his son. The girl is coughing. Kong-woo screams that it's his name. He explains that if he can't use the power, he will die. The woman says he's so impatient. The man and the girl are silent. Kong-woo says that they will see each other often from now on and suggests chatting a little. The girl says her name is Shinka. It is explained that Shinka has special spatial manipulation abilities. The guy in uniform is surprised. The girl screams that yes and evoy, and the man says that it is tiring. Kong-woo says it's another crazy woman, and someone yells back, "What does that mean?" The woman asks if there's anyone in the world who thinks as correctly as she does, and asks for confirmation that she's right. The man explains that he is, and the woman explains that she probably is. The woman explains to Kong-woo that he is putting humanity in grave danger. Kong-woo remains silent. He says that people are gradually degrading now. The girl says that if this continues, extinction will occur. Kong-woo is asked what he thinks about what poses a threat to humanity. They say that being a former member of Equality, the guy explains that they most likely think that the threat is posed by villains or heroes of the past who have power. The woman says that the interlocutor is absolutely wrong, and the man explains that he has never. The man says that what is currently destroying humanity horrifies him. She explains that these are select genes that have no abilities and exist under the guise of ordinariness. They explain that only those who have superior genes can reproduce, and unfortunately, in this society, the select genes. Mice reproduce faster than superior mice. The man says that among the second generation of equality in Laos, he is a key figure. The girl talks about dying genes, explaining that the extinction of those selected by evolution occurs naturally, even though they resist it. The man says that Kong-woo will be fine and asks if he is no longer a hero, then explains that Kong-woo now easily kills those whose genes are weaker than his. The girl says she fell in love with the image of a man. The man touches his face with his hand. They say that the Luculus prison is a gathering place for people with superior genes who could become the creators of a new humanity. Kong-woo says that it was a shame that they were imprisoned here because they killed people with defective genes for the sake of human development. The man says that they will destroy all the heroes who interfere with evolution and create a world in which only the strongest will gather. The woman says that after the extermination of the owners of the selected genes, the world, the woman says that she will change her mind and decide to join them. Kong-woo says he has to do it. The girl is surprised that there is such a courageous person here, and he tells Mrs. Sinka. The guy says fine, but not here, and suggests a little later when they're alone. The woman explains that's not what he was talking about. The guy abruptly asks her to shut up and says he doesn't care. The girl says that in any case. Kong-woo says he will be Adam. The girl says that she is his. Kong-woo says their children will lead the evolution of humanity. The woman says that she initially considered Hwang's son to be Adam, so she saved him using the Emmy attack. He is surprised. The man says that the security in this prison is much better than he thought, and if you attack from the outside, nothing will happen to it. He says that after receiving the drawing of the interior of the building, therefore, she says that using her EMI attack abilities, she struck from the inside. Kong-woo is surprised that it is Emiatica, and the girl explains that after talking with Hwa-sun, he explains that he is still a minor and his secondary sexual characteristics have not yet formed, and abilities only appear after that, so he would have to wait. The woman says time is money, so she, with her brilliant imagination, found another way. The man says that until his son Hwang becomes an adult, they will work for the benefit of humanity together with him. The girl explains that she has found a way to save. The woman says it's their best genes. The man and woman stand next to each other, arms crossed. The woman says that even brothers with different parents can become a family and asks how they can do that. She explains that it would be great if the two of them could reconcile. Kong-woo wonders if he wants to say that they were the ones who carried out the EMP attack. The woman explains that she meant something else and is surprised. The man remains silent. The girl says that the interlocutor is right and that his brother is one of the prison guards who died after a snake attack. Then she explains that he can start a family with her and offers to make it as big as possible. Kong-woo asks if they've made a decision. The man explains that he's made his decision from the start. Kong-woo is surprised that's true. He says he takes back his words about the murder. The girl says she's at her maximum. The man and girl look at her. The guy screams that it's painful and explains that he will be torn to pieces, right down to the bones. The guy says they seem to be in trouble, and the girl asks if that means they'll be killed. The man explains that they'll be torn apart. Kong-woo says it's good. The girl says that lovers quarrel only to amuse themselves. The man screams, clenching his fists and radiating rage. The girl says he's good. The man remains silent. The girl says it's very dangerous. The girl explains that she is creating a barrier to stop the attack. The man and boy watch the scene unfold. Kong-woo says he can't die because he is the master. He clutches his hand, covered in blood and sparkling red energy, and rises above the building, surrounded by a dark sky. Kong-woo says he can't afford to die here. The girl screams at them to cool down. The man says that they're outside. A man screams. Against the backdrop of a starry night sky, a bright red column of light rises from the center of the building. The boy screams that he can't afford to die here, and the girl screams that they can't die here. Kong-woo says he won't let anyone get close to him. The girl is screaming. Kong-woo screams that he can't let them go, explaining that if they leave, they will die. The man explains that they can't give up or everything will be lost. The girl says they must fight to the end. He laughs. The man, the girl, and the woman are surprised. He explains that it's like a game of hide and seek. A man screams. The man screams. The man falls to the ground, causing cracks and destruction around him. The girl explains that her eye has a special power and shows a symbol inside her pupil. The woman says it's already closed, and the man orders her to try to catch it. Kong-woo says this is mod number 1. The girl is surprised that she can't use magic. Kong-woo says the attack is coming from the first floor. The man delivers a powerful blow downwards. The boy screams and releases purple energy from his hand. The girl in the circle of purple energy smiles. The girl screams that she's scared. The guy shouts that he's always working, and the girl is surprised that he can't stop. Kong-woo explains that it can't be stopped and says it's his duty. The girl says she doesn't want him to suffer. He holds the man's hand tightly, and the man tensely pulls his hand forward. The girl says meow. The guy explains to Mrs. Sinka, and she is surprised that he was having so much fun and asks why he is bothering her. Kong-woo suddenly jumps down, delivering a powerful punch with his hand, followed by an explosion of energy that tears through the ground, and he continues the attack by punching the ground with his foot. He says he can't let himself die here because he has a goal he must fulfill. The girl is surprised and says she's not going to give up either. Kong-woo says he would kill them if he caught them. The girl remains silent. The man says they won't benefit from his death. The man laughs. The man asks Mrs. Sinka to finally make up her mind. Kong-woo says it's such a shame. The woman asks if she feels sorry for him. He says that the genes are unhappy and poor, and asks why he made such a choice. Kong-woo explains that this is a level 5 mod space stratification. He explains that this place is a space between worlds, where souls cannot find peace. The man explains that memories and emotions that haunt people are stored here. He says that these entities feed on fear and pain, and if they are not freed, they will remain in this place forever. Kong-woo says, "Meet the people in charge." The girl with purple eyes explains it. The caption states that the action takes place on the 3rd underground floor, against the backdrop of burning, destroyed buildings. The guy says that Marco shouldn't have died. The girl asks who will tame her. The text explains that it's Ho and that she has physical abilities. The man says an old man like him might be needed. The text explains that this is Tuya's technique, physical abilities. The guy says no one is useless. The text block explains that nature is a special ability. The girl repeats that she's scared. It's explained that this is Pequeño and her special abilities are described. The man says the hero in the guard uniform reminds him of something. The text explains that it's Beatty and his special abilities. Moraes shouts that smoking should be allowed where it is allowed. The girl shouts Shin several times in a row, and Tiburon asks what she is talking about. Hyun Ju-yun laughs and says that there are guys here who are worse than monsters. A mountain is shown engulfed in fire and lava. The inscription indicates the ground floor. The girl says the scabbard is empty. It is explained that Tatsuger has special physical abilities. A man talks about a physical ability called stiffness. The man asks if the 4th is alive. The text explains that it's about therapy and physical abilities. The girl says these clothes are very comfortable. The text explains that Maladidi are creative special abilities. The man is silent. The text explains that Hero has special abilities. A man looks at 2 silhouettes emerging from a glowing portal. The text states that they are the criminals of the 5th underground floor. Below is an image of planet Earth. The girl is silent. It is explained that Aura has special abilities. The girl talks to Kong-woo. It is explained that Hwang Sung-hwan has special abilities.